1.7 cents to make a penny nowadays. That's what they say. It breeds crime, they say, because they're melting down the pennies for profit. They say that if a dog or a parrot eat the pennies, they could have dire consequences. Many countries have given up the penny. Madam Toastmaster, Toastmaster members, and all you guests, I am here to save our world and save our penny. For me, the penny has historic, sentimental value. After all, in 1783, the first penny was minted. First coin was a penny, 100% copper. In 1909, a human being's picture was on a coin of the United States, the first of such. Later on in my talk, if there's time, I will give you some points with which this penny can be used in everyday life. But for now, what I want to do is incorporate my family background as it relates to the penny. I want to introduce to you Solomon Mead. Unfortunately, I only have a very small picture of Solomon, which leads me to believe that he was a very small man. Solomon Mead lived in the late 1700s when you bartered. That's before the coin came out. You bartered. He was a pastor in a church, and it was kind of tough to barter what he could offer. So he got a part-time job. He went into the fertilizer business. That means he cleaned out stalls of cows, horses, pigs, goats. And he took the fertilizer and was going to barter with other people. Sounds great, except that there was nothing but farmers in those days, so he was taking the fertilizer. There was hardly anybody to give it to. So his barn started filling up with fertilizer. His backyard was filling up with fertilizer. His house was filling up with fertilizer. This poor guy was in bad straits. Fortunately, 1783 came around, and the penny came aboard. It was minted. So now, when he did the same fertilizer deal, he said, "You keep the fertilizer, give me the money." Things started to change in his life right after that. No more did he have to take any fertilizer from anybody. No longer did anybody have to take fertilizer from him. And his wife, his poor wife, was happy when that fertilizer started to disappear from his house. Now I want to introduce you to my second grandfather. Lived in the late 1800s into 1900. He was an auto mechanic by trade, but he didn't have any work. There were no cars. So he took a part-time job. Seems to run in our family, take a part-time job. It seemed that he had a resemblance to a famous person. I want you to look at this. I'm going to show you his picture first, and then I'm going to show you the famous person. This is Grandpa William. This is the famous person. For all of you that don't know, that's Abraham Lincoln. His friend gave him an idea. Why don't you be an Abraham Lincoln impersonator? He thought that was a great idea. He started doing children's birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, business meeting, entertainment. He did a funeral or two. And what he would do is he would say the Gettysburg Address. He would talk about the theater. He was great at speaking about rail splitting. and he taught people how to study by candlelight. Now, he was doing real well, extremely well. One day he's reading a newspaper, there's a little article in the lower right-hand corner. The government is looking for Abraham Lincoln lookalikes. His friend said, "You look like Abraham Lincoln." So he applied. People all over the United States. We all met in this secret place. And they had a little contest. And guess who won? Grandpa William. You know what the prize was? It may sound crazy to you. He was the person who posed for the penny. So when you see that penny, are you looking at Abraham Lincoln? Or are you looking at Grandpa William? I like to think I'm looking at Grandpa William. Going right along, I told you that there are other uses for the penny. One of them is if you have drapes in your house, and they hang crooked, you put a pile of pennies in one side and the bottom. The pennies pull the drapes. That's a true fact. This is true now. It holds the shape of the drape. That's not an old wives' tale. There's a bird bath. If you put pre-1982 pennies in this bird bath, you're never going to have algae forming. That's what it looks like without algae. And a lot of 1982 pennies. And finally, do things in threes. See, this is a tire. It's heavy. If you take your Lincoln penny, or Grandpa penny, and you hold it heads down, and you put it in the groove, if the head disappears, half of the head disappears, you could continue driving. The reason this tire is in my garage is it's not legal. So, let's wrap it up. I've not done that red sheet yet. I'm going to give you something to carry away from here, because you have to carry something away. You have to have something that means something. I want you to never feel like you have to take fertilizer from anybody. You can substitute fertilizer if you like. If a famous person is someone you want to imitate, go right ahead, because they're probably doing things that you could do just as well, and it's all right to do that. And last, you may feel that you're small and insignificant in life, but believe me, you have all got special treasures that make you extra special in the world. So don't ever back down because you don't think you have the skills. You do have some treasures. And I'm Toastmaster.